Descent of Soul, Guruji Krishnananda. Let's begin with the note. A note. I was preparing the material for a book. Then Amara, during one of his visits, instructed me to print this Descent of Soul. Immediately, I browsed through my notes and memory pages and gathered the matter. But somehow I couldn't begin writing. I couldn't arrange the matter to my satisfaction. Some points were missing and days passed. Finally, I sought help from the rishis, and after all the days of struggle, I wrote the first sentence with their grace in a late night. Then this happened. This booklet doesn't contain many pages, but it contains many answers. This contains many seeds of doubts and questions for which the future generations struggle to find the light and answers. This has to be read, contemplated on, and understood more by intuition. Truths lie beyond the grasp of the intellect in the unknown higher mystical realms. They have to be seen by the inner eye. All truths descend in flashes. The rishis capture the light, convert it into thoughts and words, and pass on to others. May this knowledge from the rishis awaken us to the realities of birth, death, and our spiritual goals. May the wisdom from the churning of the knowledge lead us back to our perfection, our divinity. May the struggle to establish the lost contact with the rishis begin. May the journey back to the timeless bliss begin. May all of us merge back in the ocean of light. This note was written on August 25th, 2002 by Guruji Krishnananda. Let's begin with Chapter 1 now. This knowledge is from the rishis, the Saptarishis. Amara, who worked with the Saptarishis, brought down this knowledge to the human plane. After this earth entered the Dark Age, 5,000 years ago, a lot of knowledge, both material and spiritual, available in the human plane was lost as man lost most of his capabilities to hold and use the knowledge. Now that we are entering into the new age of higher awareness, the lost knowledge is being retrieved from the rishis who are now in the higher planes. Amara was a great rishi. He came in contact with the Saptarishis when he was a boy of about 9 years of age. During an operation, when the doctors administered anesthesia, Amara came out of his body and went in his astral body to a place where the Saptarishis had assembled. Another rishi with them promised Amara that he would meet him here when he visited this earth again. After a few months, he came down, met Amara, and taught him the whole spiritual science for about 3 years. By the age of 12, Amara was a spiritual master, a rishi. This knowledge about the descent of souls to this plane has answers to many basic questions like who are we, why are we here, where do we go from here, etc. Before touching that, it helps us to know a little about this creation. From the unknown and unknowable realms, an infinite ocean of light emerged. From this, an infinite ocean of consciousness emerged in a new dimension. A huge field of energy emerged from this ocean of consciousness. From the core of this, the first form emerged, the first personality. It was Devi, also called Shakti, Adi Shakti. Devi combined her energies with those from the ocean of consciousness and created 3 different fields of energies from which emerged 3 different forms and personalities, that is Shiva, Vishnu and Brahma. As creation continued, billions of galaxies containing billions of stars and earths emerged in each of the fields. Each personality created billions of entities in their own images to live on the earths in their fields. Devi assigned 3 different works to the 3 divine personalities. Brahma worked on creation, that is, to create new worlds and souls. Vishnu took care of the life in these worlds, and Shiva attended to destruction. Anyone or anything that is born will have to die ultimately after living for a short or a long period. Devi expressed her desire for more creation. Then Brahma created a huge egg-shaped field, Brahmanda, the material cosmos. At billions of points in the material cosmos, he created the sound Om. At these points, galaxies were born. Each galaxy brought out billions of suns with planetary systems around them. Each planetary system contained an Earth. Thus, billions and billions of Earths were born. Brahma created life on all the earths. He created different types of souls and sent them to occupy the bodies of the living beings there and improve the bodies. Thus, evolution of the bodies began millions and millions of years ago before the human bodies were ready. At 8 different points in 8 different directions around the material cosmos, Brahma created 8 different worlds. He created special souls for these worlds and a demigod or a devata as a lord for each of these worlds. They were assigned the special work of looking after the welfare of the life in the material cosmos and preserving the energies from dissipating into the unknown void outside the periphery of the material cosmos. Evolution occurred at different paces on different earths. The earths were divided into 14 categories according to the stages of evolution, and each category was called a loka. Of the 14, 7 were called the higher lokas and the other 7 the lower lokas. The activity in the higher lokas was spiritual. It was maximum in the highest loka and decreased gradually downwards. The activity in the lower lokas was material and it increased downwards, being maximum at the lowest loka. Brahma also introduced good and evil in these lokas. It was good in the higher lokas and evil in the lower lokas. He also created good and evil souls to live in these lokas. Our earth belongs to the 7th loka, where both the spiritual and material activities and both the good and the evil have equal opportunities. The higher lokas are Satya, Tapo, Jana, Maha, Subha and Bhuva. The lower lokas are Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Rasatala, Talatala, Mahatala and Patala loka. The diameter of the egg-shaped material cosmos is 18 billion light years. Our Earth happens to be in the center, 9 billion light years away from both the ends. Brahmaloka is 1,000 times bigger than the material cosmos. Vishnu Loka is 1,000 times bigger than Brahma Loka. Shiva Loka is 1,000 times bigger than Vishnu Loka, and Shakti Loka is 1,000 times bigger than Shiva Loka. From the first divine Loka downwards, time moves faster. 1 day in Devi Loka is equivalent to 2 days in Shiva Loka, 4 days in Vishnu Loka and 8 days in Brahma Loka, which will be equivalent to billions of our earth years. In the ocean of light, which the rishis call the Parabrahma Loka, time stands still, or there is no time. Time moves on in cycles. This earth is bound by a cycle of 51,840 years comprising of 4 different periods called yugas. The first Satya Yuga runs for about 20,000 years, the next Treta Yuga for about 15,000 years, then Dwapara Yuga for about 10,000 years, and the last Kali Yuga for about 5000 years. The remaining 1840 years are spent in the transitory periods from one yuga to another. This one cycle of 4 yugas is called a Mahayuga. 71 Mahayugas make a bigger cycle called Manvantara. One Manvantara is like an hour in the time scale of Brahma. In Satya Yuga, the purity levels of living will be highest. From Treta Yuga, the dilution of values begins. In Kali Yuga, the purity levels will be lowest. That is why Kali Yuga is called the Dark Age, when people live in the darkness of ignorance, having lost their divine faculties for violating all the divine and human laws. Before entering a new cycle, another Mahayuga, the purity levels have to be restored back to that of Satya Yuga. So the rishis initiate many cleansing processes. The destruction of the old order and establishing a new order occurs. This is Pralaya. At the end of every Mahayuga, when the Pralaya occurs, there will be part destruction of life. At the end of every Manvantara, the destruction will be total. When such a destruction occurred last time, the earth was covered by water for thousands of years. Now we are in the 7th Manvantara called Vaivasvata Manvantara, and at the beginning of the 29th Mahayuga, which began on 14th March 1974. We are now in the transitory period of 432 years from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga. Although the Sapta Rishis and many Rishis assisting them conduct and supervise the processes of Pralaya, they always invoke Lord Vishnu to descend down to the earth to preside over the Pralaya. This is the end of chapter 1.